What's up, guys? I thought I would do a part 2 to the video I did earlier talking about Chris Ingham. So obviously when I think about this, what he did and everything, it makes me laugh that people are still trying to defend him and are still trying to say that he did nothing wrong when there's there's too much evidence that proves what he did. People say, oh, well, he was never arrested, he was never charged with anything, yada, yada, yada. But just because he wasn't charged with anything doesn't mean that he didn't do it, doesn't automatically mean that he didn't do anything. When you think about 16-year-old Jess, we all know why we all know why the police didn't do anything. We all know that the only reason they didn't do anything was she was the legal age of consent. Therefore, they weren't legally allowed to weren't legally able to do anything because he had not committed a crime. In the eyes of the law, he had not committed a criminal offence. They could not charge him or prosecute him with anything because he hadn't done anything wrong. He hadn't broken the law. But the fact that he has sent inappropriate comments to a 14-year-old girl, that is breaking the law. And he should have been, quite rightly have been arrested for that. And it's actually shocking to think that he wasn't arrested for that, knowing that he's done that he did something like that and never actually got arrested for that, which he should have been. As we were talking about a 14-year-old girl who was actually under the legal age of consent, which therefore meant that he was committing a crime, as he was a man in his 30s and he was sending these inappropriate comments to a 14-year-old girl. It's sickening to think that he would do something like that. But when I it's like when I look at Chris Ingham, there's not a single part of me that doesn't believe that he did what he did. Every single part of me thinks, yeah, he did, he absolutely did do it. There's no doubt in my mind that he did it. Obviously, the I fam will never, these I families will never believe that he did anything and will always say, oh, well, there's no proof of anything, there's no evidence of anything. They'll always try to blow dust up his backside and claim he did nothing wrong. But that's their lookout. If they want to defend a nonce, then go ahead. But I don't think they realise how bad it makes them look, the fact that they're actually willing to defend someone like Chris Ingham, knowing what he did. I mentioned, in my video earlier, the way that he used to behave with Isabel when she was a teenager, 12, 13. That was borderline creepy with some of the things that he used to do, like tickling her back and hiding under her bed. There was even a vlog where where he actually smelled Isabel's hair. He was smelling Isabel's hair and he said, "Can I sleep in your bed while you're gone?" Because obviously she was going away somewhere. And he sort of smelled her hair and he went, "Can I sleep in your bed while you're gone?" I felt like that was an insanely creepy thing to come out with, the fact that he was smelling his, teenage daughter's hair and then asking if he can sleep in her bed while she's gone. How does that not come across to people as being insanely creepy? The fact that he's smelling his teenage stepdaughter's hair and asking if he can sleep in her bed while she's gone. The fact that and this is just one of the many creepy things that he's done to Isabel, or he did to Isabel when she was younger, when she was a teenager, when she was 12, 13. Everything about him, there's nothing innocent about him. I don't get how people can look at Chris and think, oh yeah, he's absolutely innocent. How the fuck can people look at Chris and think that? It shows how deluded and idiotic some people are. Some people are just so idiotic and so shameful and so pathetic that they will jump through hoops to try to defend him no matter what he does. The problem I have with the fact that people are trying to defend him is the fact that there is too much evidence that proves what he did. There's too much evidence that proves that he actually did do something. Yeah, he came on the vlogs and denied that. And of course the IFAN will believe every single word he says. But they don't stop to think about the fact that he was never actually going to admit doing it anyway. He was always going to come on the vlog to a vlog and deny what he did. You know, I mean, it just shocks me that not only did he do it, was he sending inappropriate comments to that 16-year-old, but to do it to a 14-year-old as well makes the situation 10 times worse. You know, as I said earlier, you know, I wasn't aware of the fact that he'd also been sending inappropriate comments to, you know, to a 14-year-old girl. You know, I wasn't aware of that until I watched Doodle's video that he actually did on it yesterday. I wasn't aware of that, but I was aware of some of the creepy things that he'd done with Isabel, and it was just absolutely shocking. To be honest with you, absolutely shocking, knowing that he would behave like that. And as I said earlier, if I was her real dad, and I had found out that her stepfather was behaving in that way around her and doing things like that, like hiding under her bed, you know, tickling her back, smelling her hair and asking to sleep in her bed, I would knock his block off. He wouldn't still be standing up, you know. And the fact that Sarah was actually so okay with that, you know, and the fact that there's so much proof of the creepy things he used to do. I mean, we are talking about a guy who had a massive rant. I was moaning because he'd been told that he couldn't film in a public swimming pool because of child safety regulations, and basically saying that he didn't agree with them. He's like, he didn't particularly agree with them. That you know, surely that shows the sort of, you know, that shows what sort of person Chris is. The fact that he would say, oh well, I don't agree with the child safety regulations, that says a lot about him. You know, it's like, why would you not agree with them? You know, it's like, why would you want to film in a public swimming pool anyway? You know, it's just insanely creepy that he would be so pissed off about the fact he couldn't film, you know, in a public swimming pool, and say that, and actually admit on camera that he didn't agree with the child safety regulations. So he probably shouldn't have said that on camera, because that, you know, this is how insanely creepy that made him look. You know, I mean, obviously, yeah, it's bad what Chris has done, but the fact that Sarah has basically stood by him after what he did is even worse. You know, it's shocking that he, you know, to think about the things that he used to do. You know, the things that he, you know, it's just mad. You know, I don't know what else to say. I really genuinely don't. But this is just shocking and appalling in so many possible ways. In so many ways, and it's just sad that people will continue to defend him and say, well, he did nothing wrong. You know, he didn't do anything. There's no evidence. There's no evidence that proves what he did. Actually, there fucking is evidence that proves what he is. You know, people need to just shut the fuck up and actually admit that he did what he did. You know, it's sad that, you know, this is the sad thing, right? This is that, you know, these girls are the victims, you know, but it's Chris that is being treated like the victims. It's being treated like the victim. It's actually shocking. You know, to say the least, it's beyond shocking. The fact that Chris has been being treated like the victim when it's, you know, when it's the two girls that are the victims, as they were the ones that he was sending inappropriate comments to. They were the ones that he became obsessed with. You know, it's like, you know, you can't blame that 14-year-old girl. I mean, obviously, you know, she had that picture taken with them. She didn't think that Chris was gonna do what he did. You know, she didn't know that Chris was going to become creepily obsessed with her like he did with the other girl, Jess. you know, she had that picture taken with them at the home when they were obviously in Orlando, Florida, and what happened? Chris became obsessed with her. You know, I've always known that there was something insanely creepy about him. That, you know, the fact that he's filmed. There's so many flaws, like the fact there's so many flaws on the channel showing Adele, Esme, Isla, and Isabel also in bikinis and swimwear and things like that. And there's so many videos that have thumbnails of them in bikinis and swimwear. That kind of shows what sort of person Christina is, because nobody would think it was acceptable to be using thumbnails like that or to be showing it hits on the internet in that way. You know, and I mean, as you know, that's something that I've called Mr. Jonathan Jolie out for recently as well. I've called him out for the fact that he's been showing his 7-year-old daughter on the internet in just a bikini, and also used a thumbnail image of her the other day of her in just a bikini, which was incredibly wrong and was completely uncondonable for a lot of reasons. But you can't deny that what he did was, what Chris did was unforgivable. You know, and the fact that the police never arrested him, we're talking about a 14-year-old girl. As I said, I completely understand with a 16-year-old, obviously, you know, her being legal age consent meant they couldn't do anything. But to tell that 14-year-old girl to just block him, why, you know, it's like, yeah, that's not right. You know, they should have been arresting him for that. But I guess the police weren't so on the ball when it came to online comments back then. Because I'm sure if they had been a bit more on the ball, he probably would have been arrested. But they weren't, as they weren't really on the ball at that time, unfortunately. But I guess if they had been a bit more on the ball, maybe he would not have gotten away with it. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know what else to say. I mean, this is just shocking. But as I said, it's even worse, the fact that people are continuing to try and defend the guy after what he did, knowing what he did, and what, you know, people keep coming on, keep trying to say, oh, he didn't do anything wrong, you know, he's innocent, blah de blah de blah de blah, when we all know he's not innocent. I really don't know what else to say, but it is just sad that people continue to try and defend someone like that, somebody who did what he did. You know, it's just terrible, absolutely terrible. That's what I can say.